this is the best structure for unseen poetry. So if you're someone who struggles with unseen poetry, has no idea how to even do it, has no idea how to structure it, wants to get a good grade in English but knows that this is going to hold you back, I'm going to go through this in this video today because structure is the one thing that everybody really struggles with unseen poetry. So let's quickly summarize what the questions are, because if you know what they are, then you'll know how to actually apply the information. So a 24-mark question will be something like this. So they'll give you a poem and then they'll ask you a question which, how does the poet present the experience of grief? So it'll just be one question asking just about the poem. So I'll give you a poem and one question, it'll be 24 marks. And you're going to start with this one and you're just going to analyse, and it's going to be completely unseen. So you're going to never have seen this poem before, and that's why it's really important that we understand techniques of how to analyse it. Then the 8-mark question will be something like this. It will be on the other side of the paper and it will give you another poem. And it will say, in poem B, the poet also presents the experience of loss of a loved one. How do both poets present the experience of loss? Now, this is a comparison question from the first poem that you just read to this poem. So you're going to be comparing the two of them. And what's a really good hack is normally it will have like a little sentence about the second poem, and that can really help you understand the first poem if you're really struggling. Because obviously it says that it presents the experience of loss of a loved one. So if you were unsure, always read the second question, the top bit of the second question, because that will give you a little bit more information about the first poem as well. So the structure for analysing a poem, so this is the structure I want you to follow. We're going to have language. We're going to analyse how word choices create meaning, like connotations, imagery. So we're going to have a paragraph just on language. We're going to have a paragraph on structure. For example, like how the poem is actually arranged on the page. So kind of looking at the sentences. So looking at like something like enjambment. I should have a T on the end. That says enjambment with a T. Enjambment. So enjambment, which I'm going to go into what that actually is, but they're structure techniques. So think about structure techniques for poetry are a little bit different from structure techniques we normally look at. We normally look at like sentence lengths or punctuation. It's similar, but there are specific words that we call it for poetic techniques. So for example, enjambment, that is a specific poetic technique. And if you are someone who really struggles with techniques, I've got loads on the laptop on this because I know how much you guys really struggle. So you can go onto this lesson if you do have it. And this will go through step by step how to pick out language, form, structure. You can watch the videos on it and then see how to actually apply it. The other one I want you to have is form. So form is to do like things like stanza length. So we don't call them paragraphs in poetry, we call them stanzas. So basically each mini paragraph we call a stanza, and that is what we call form. So think about structure. The difference between structure and form is structure is you looking like within the lines. Form is like if you weren't reading it, like how does it actually look on the page, like the kind of the big stanza lengths, i.e. the paragraphs. So if we have a look at a technique that we could use for each of them, I'm going to go into it. So a really easy language technique that we could pick out is connotations. So connotations is the associations and feelings a word suggests beyond its literal meaning. So kind of like, what does this word make me think or feel? For example, if we looked at the word sun, sun has connotations, kind of associated words with summer. Or maybe sun has connotations of happiness. It makes us think of something or it makes us think of an emotion. So that's what we're thinking about connotations, like what feelings does it make us think of, or does it make us think of something else? Structure, like I said, enjambment, really easy way to be able to spell this is enjambment. So think en, then they've got jam, and then bement. That's like an easy way to spell it because it's a little bit of a harder one to spell. What this just means, there's no punctuation at the end of poetry. So if we look at a line, so basically a sentence, we call it a line in poetry, there's no punctuation at the end of it. And I'm going to show you an example in a moment on a poem. And what this does is it creates a sense of flow, urgency, or ongoing emotion. Because like I just showed you on that technique sheet, what you really want to do is you want to know kind of generally the effects of techniques. Because once you know the effects of techniques, then it makes it really easy to be able to adapt it in the exam. Because if you know enjambment means something is ongoing, then all you're going to do is use that effect and then link it to the poem. If the poem's about love and there's loads of enjambment, you're going to go, oh, it shows that love is ongoing, da 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 da. So you're thinking about when you learn the effect of the technique, it makes it so much easier to analyse because then you're just going to link it to whatever the poem is generally about. And then form, we can look at stanza length, it's a really easy one for that. So whether stanzas, which are poetry paragraphs, are equal or irregular, and what the regularity or lack of it suggests about the poem's mood or meaning. So you can comment on whether the stanzas are the same length, let's say for example they're all 4 lines, or whether they're irregular. You can still comment on that. So you can comment if they're irregular or regular. And then again, thinking about what it suggests. If they're all irregular, does it show that something's chaotic? And again, that's why it's really important to look at like language, structure, form techniques pre-learn the effects, because although, yes, you can't know what poem is going to be there, you can know a structure for it, you can know sentence starters for that structure, and then you can know the effects of technique. We go on to the essay marker. This will give me like a structure of a tick list that I want to know for each part. So for example, for my point, I know I'm going to choose it from the question, I'm going to do my own point, and I'm going to give my reason. I'll go with some help as well, so I've got a little checklist. So you want to almost have a bit of a checklist for each part of the paragraph, so you can actually be like, okay, I know my first paragraph's going to be on language, and then I'm going to do point, then I'm going to do this, then I'm going to do this, and then you're going to link exactly what you need to do for each part of the paragraph structure, and then you can basically pre-write up the majority of it before you even get into the exam. But let's see if we can actually spot it in a poem. For example, the empty chair, we've got a poem like so. Let's see if we can pick out, I've got my language, structure, and form techniques. Obviously, these are not just the only techniques that you need to know, but for the sake of this video, I'm only going to show you one, just to demonstrate to you what it can look like. So if we look at here, I could look at the connotations. So the blue cup you loved, the connotations of blue. Remember, connotations is a word associated with another word. It suggests sadness and cold absence, while loved implies warmth now gone. So we can kind of see, we could link the connotations, and then we could link it to what the meaning of the poem is. So then we're looking at, okay, what is the word associated with blue? What kind does it make me think of? What emotion does it make me think of? It makes me think of sadness and cold absence. And then I can use that connotation to help me link it to the meaning of whatever's going on in the poem. Then enjambment. So enjambment, remember, is no punctuation at the end of the line. So if we look here, question has no punctuation at the end of it, suggesting that is enjambment because it's no punctuation in the line. If we go to this one, that's not enjambment. There is punctuation in the line. That's not enjambment. That one would be enjambment because, again, there's no punctuation at the end of the line. Here is enjambment, again, no punctuation in the line. And you can kind of see the ones that has no punctuation in the line, that is enjambment. So remember what I said, enjambment creates a sense of like something is ongoing. So I could say that this runs across the line break without a pause, mirroring the unresolved nature of grief. So the fact that like it continues on, I know that's what enjambment does. It makes the line continue on to the next, because obviously there's no punctuation. So like question just completely runs on to the next line because there's no punctuation, and it shows how like this grief continues on. So again, you can see I'm using the effect of the technique. I know that enjambment means the line continues on, and then I'm just linking it to the poem, that it continues on with grief. And that's why I always go through this on the Light Up Hub with all my students about, okay, let's learn the effects of the technique. Let's learn how to put it in the structure, because it means you can pre-write out most of your poem when you're writing your response, even if you don't know what the poem's about. And the last one we've got is stanza lengths. So what I'm going to do is I've got 3 stanzas, and I would go through and count them. I'd be like, okay, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4. That's 4 lines. I got 1, 2, 3, 4. That's 4 lines. And I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's 5 lines. So what I could say is that the growing final stanza mirrors the weight of grief building over time. So again, you can see I've been like, okay, it's regular. Again, maybe showing that like this grief is continual, but the fact that the last stanza gets bigger, because it's obviously 5 lines, it shows how their grief has got bigger over time. Do you see how I'm basically looking at what it is doing and then how I'm going to link it back to the question? So knowing the effects of techniques. So like I said, enjambment, ongoing, unresolved, continuous. And then I can use that to explain it. So that's the main thing we want to know for unseen poetry. We want to know the structure. We want to know sentence starters structure like I kind of showed you earlier. Then we want to know the different effects for each language, structure and form of the techniques and how we can use it. And then if you can get feedback on that, either from your teachers or things like the examiner marking I've got on Light Up Hub, whatever it is, you want to get feedback on that, because all unseen poetry is practicing the skill. You can't pre-learn the text like you can for literature, the rest of the literature, but you can pre-learn the skill, and this will make a massive difference to your mark, guys, because this is 32 marks for the whole of unseen poetry. You've got a 24 mark and 8 mark. That is massive. Like, that is more than some of the literature essays on their own. So we want to make sure that we're really nailing this, because most students neglect this, but this could be the difference between like 3 grades, 4 grades. Like, it's huge. So we can see here, the enjambment mirrors the ongoing unanswered nature of grief, suggesting it can't be resolved or contained within a single thought. So you can see, I've taken enjambment is my technique. I've taken what the effect is that it's ongoing. Then I've linked it to the ongoing nature of grief. Then connotations, emotional weight, associations, hidden message. The blue cup you loved, the connotation of blue suggests sadness and cold absence, while you loved personifies the grief, implying the speaker cannot let go of even the smallest details of the lost person. So you can see there, I've gone for connotations. What is the emotional, the association with that word? I've said about sadness, cold absence. Then I've again linked it back to grief because the questions asked me about grief. And then the last thing, stanza lengths can show control, chaos, weight, shift in tone, depending if they're regular or irregular. The 3 stanzas grow from 4 to 5 lines. The expanding final stanza mirrors grief accumulating over time, as though the poet cannot contain the weight of loss within a regular form. So again, I've said what the effect of the technique is, what is the effect of the stanzas, that it's regular, then it becomes growing. So I've said, oh, it actually shows this increased weight of grief. And all I'm doing is linking it back to grief, because that is what the poem is about. Because I've pre-learnt these effects, I basically know what I'm going to talk about, but I just need to make sure I'm linking it back to the poem. So to summarise, guys, for unseen poetry, we want to have a structure, language, structure, form, and a conclusion as well. We want to have a tick list for each part of the structure so we know what we're doing. We want to have a bank of techniques with the effects for each of them and knowing what the effect is. And then we want to practice. You don't have to write full essays up all the time. You could write like paragraphs, or you can write full essays up, practicing how you would find that in the poem and then how you would link the effect to the poem. As long as you've pre-learned the effect of the technique and you understand what the poem is about, you're going to be absolutely sorted.